Crouch. Bind. Set.
Joe presents the House of Rugby, together with Guinness.
Hello and welcome to the House of Rugby, brought to you by Joe, together with our very good friends at Guinness. It's lovely to be back in our warm, cosy studio. It's lovely to be back, some might say, without the hask. It's much more relaxed leading into this week's show, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like a church.
It's a great pleasure to have with us the boss. How are you, Jerry?
Good.
Yeah,
Thanks.
Irish eyes are smiling.
After the weekend there, yeah.
We've got quite an interesting dynamic between the two of you.
What?
You're locked and loaded and ready to go.
I'm very balanced.
You're very balanced. My name is Alex Payne, and we've got a lot to talk. I think we're actually going to get into some proper World Cup chat this week, which is a great treat. Actually.
Which I think is good because the first weekend deserves our attention.
Yeah, and actually it's been quite an electric start to the tournament. Are you impressed by how quickly it's picked up? It's gone on the B of bang, so to speak.
I think the way the results have fallen, like for England, Ireland, Scotland, not for Scotland, for England, for Ireland, for the Welsh, it's, you know, and New Zealand, it's sort of fed it like the lads I was chatting to on the TV were just saying, listen, said if Ireland had lost that game to Scotland, the deflation and all the buzz from the World Cup would just have gone from the country. So
yeah, are they back on the horse now, properly trotting in the right direction, cantering?
Before Mike jumps in, I thought they played really well. I thought Scotland were septic. Thought they were really, really poor. But it's the fact that
Never heard anyone describe it. I like that as an expression.
Not how someone performed as septic. No, I've heard of septic before.
Yeah,
but I thought that Ireland were really, really good. There was like they just going in ranked number 1 into a World Cup after beating Wales back to back, who were the Grand Slam champions. But then you think, oh, well, 3 games ago we got absolutely pumped by England. So you're like ripped apart. So there's that question mark, that niggle was there. And I suppose it's particularly on our set piece, things like that, you know. So I think they answered a lot of that. But I thought Scotland were really poor. But you have to give credit to Ireland. Like there is pressure there, and they delivered on the day.
Already, I think we have more rugby sense than in most of this second series put together. Nice to have you on board. If you didn't know, Hask is on holiday this week. He's in the Maldives, commentating from a hammock.
Yeah, can you imagine how he's just ruining everyone's rugby game? Having him commentating
People
over
have paid
the top.
to go on holiday with him to listen to his insight from his hammock, sipping from his coconut. We actually thought he was here this week. Well, producer Si thought he was here this week, and so popped into the WhatsApp, usual time, fellas. At which point Has said, no, I'm in the Maldives. I'm sure I let everybody know. Just follow me on Instagram.
Check my Instagram.
The way
figure
that these
it
things
out.
work.
I thought I heard him say that on one of the shows that he was going doing that.
Well, I think we knew he was going. I'm just not sure anyone knew when. But we are missing. He was good last week, though, wasn't he?
He was good.
You've got to stand well back, certainly in a live environment. What are we going to talk about on this week's show? We're going to reflect, obviously, on the opening round of the World Cup. We're going to look at the progression of the home nations or not. We touched on that briefly already. And we're going to discuss the standard of refereeing so far as well. But just a word from you on the tournament overall. Have you been impressed by how Japan has opened its doors?
Yeah, I think the atmosphere in every game and the work. The fans really aren't doing the work, but how enthusiastic they seem to have got behind every game. The atmosphere always sounds good at all the games.
Yeah.
It's been tight ones. I think there was a lot of nerves for Japan in that first game. I think you would have expected them to go on and win that a bit more of a canter than they did, but a lot of pressure for them to come into that World Cup, because if they'd have lost that first game, just imagine how much energy that would have deflated out of it. So, but I think then having the Kiwi All Blacks game sort of set it off properly.
Kiwi South Africa.
And then what did I say?
Kiwi All Blacks.
Oh, nice.
But good game, actually. I'd like to watch that.
Well, they probably have a good team.
Yeah.
And then obviously I thought the France-Argentina game was a quality game as well. So I think some of the home nations haven't started so well. Scotland didn't start. Actually, I don't think Scotland had got off the plane yet. Was that the B team? I'm not entirely sure. And then England didn't really play very well either, but we'll get into that.
Did England not play very well, or was it just Eddie Jones seemed pretty relaxed off the back of it, as did Owen Farrell. Take the 5 points, move on. You don't want to be...
Well, no, that's how you've got to look at it. But then behind closed doors, I think you'd be going, hang on, you're a professional outfit, you drop 14 balls or whatever.
Yeah. Well, 03, you was some... Did you have...
We had Georgia
first, actually, you did.
Which did 87.
Yeah, all right.
And then we beat South Africa.
Tick.
And then we had
Samoa and Uruguay.
Uruguay first, then Samoa.
So actually, your campaign actually went the other way because you started well, and your final pool game you struggled massively to get somewhere.
Yeah. But then we sort of battled all the way in there, didn't we, really? We didn't play great rugby.
Still came out with the trophy. As a coach, do you see what Eddie Jones' point is, or would you have been quite frustrated off the back of that?
I think you have to be realistic. I think, as Mike said, I'd agree with him. He just said, look, this is what it is. We started the tournament. They came through it. I don't think any major injuries, and they got their bonus point win. They got through it. They made hard work of it by going front door against Tonga all the time, which I thought was... I understand that you've got to get guys to respect the runners to start with, but after a while, you're just like, okay, fuck.
I spoke to someone in the camp, and they said that the first 20 minutes, their sort of game plan was to put the ball behind Tonga and not give them any free shots, not to try and energise them. I was like, well, did you not realise after 20 to stop doing it for the whole thing, where you just keep kicking the ball away?
Yeah.
Because if they'd played phases against them, they'd have tired them out and they'd have actually opened them up even more, but they just didn't play anything. And then I thought, well, maybe they're holding everything back. They don't want to show anything because they didn't go wide once on a strike play. After causing Ireland so many problems going wide, they didn't go wide once. I was just like, maybe they just don't want to give France and Argentina any video footage to go through. But I was like, what's the point in doing that? You can't do that.
Have you sent teams out before with a directive not to show any cards?
No, we've had plays.
Yeah.
We've had plays that we said we'll use this play, and then if we're comfortable, we just say don't use that play. Let's keep that one in the bank. But we'd never go out and say let's play kind of a bit shit.
Let's play ball.
People think we're not great.
You just can't do that. I don't think.
I agree with you in that. Like if they just put like when I'd watched Tonga and the All Blacks, and I was like, these Tongan players look like they're amateurs, man. Yeah. And I thought,
well, they found some guy on Facebook.
That was funny.
The young guy.
Yeah,
that came on for the replacement hooker. He'd never. The coach had never even seen him play.
He's not even in the NPC or New Zealand Cup, whatever it is now.
But the way they worked it, I understand you got to play front door a little bit at the start to get sit guys down. But after that, you're like, okay, well let's start shifting the point of contact a little bit.
Yeah.
And it's like I thought it would be like, when you see the lads talk about rugby league, say for the first 15 minutes, don't give them something to hit. So it's just all short passes and not like lining somebody up because everyone's energized. That's exactly what it was. But I couldn't believe how well they did with Billy Vunipola.
Yeah.
Like nobody else can deal with it.
No one's done that, and
nobody. When I look back on the Ireland-England game, the majority of tries all came from people having to tighten up and go, oh shit, watch for Vunipola here because it's going to take two to stop him, and then they just went, we'll just move out to the edge.
What are these first games like? What was in 07? What was that Ireland? It wasn't Georgia.
Namibia.
It was Namibia. Well, I just wonder what those first games are like. All that prep, all that excitement. For England, they've had to wait a couple of days to get going off the back of the opening of the tournament. Is that a factor, or is it just something that we're sort of talking about here and now?
Our 2007 campaign was so poor that I don't think you can. It's hard to reference anything from it and say that this is. We were rubbish. We were really underprepared in terms of our rugby. I think maybe we just that Croke Park game when we played G. I think Eddie just wanted to freeze that team and that performance and say, if I can just take this and bring it to the World Cup, it's going to work for me. And rugby's just too dynamic, and we just focused on conditioning and getting as fit as we could, and we went out and we were massive. We underperformed in our warm-up games.
Yeah. Did you know going into that World Cup that you were nowhere near where you needed to be, or is it only in the tournament where those kind of things get exposed?
I think it was in the tournament.
Really?
Yeah, because we kind of went. We only played 2 warm-up games. We played Scotland.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember now. I think we played Scotland. We played Italy, and we just about beat them in the end. I think Rog scored a try.
Didn't you have a game down in France where Drico got?
Yeah, we played. Then someone had the idea that let's play Bayonne let's play a Bayonne club side. And they were like, we were training in the south of France. We were doing lots of skill work. And I was like, this is really nice. I said, we've got a game, and we went in and I was like, why are all the people trying to spit at us? I said, it's like they hate us. And there was some Safford just came in and just leveled Drico.
Yeah.
And I think Drico had gone to the referee and said, if you don't sort this out, man, it's going to turn into chaos. And they were just taking free shots. It was like one of those, watch those Lions games where there's a touring club side and they play against them and they just say, I'm going to fucking maim someone here.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what it was. But we genuinely didn't know where we were at till we played Namibia in the first game, and we like made hard work of it, and then should have lost to Georgia.
Yeah.
And then we were like, oh no. And then
France, Argentina.
Then like Peter Stringer, who'd like never been dropped in his whole life, strings got dropped, and we're like, oh, what's going on now? So it was like a panic button, like.
Yeah.
And tournament just fell apart for us.
What about your experience of where England are now, and getting up and running?
I was just trying to think of. I don't think I ever thought really about it in terms of waiting to go into that first game, even in 2011 or in 2003. I didn't really just got on with it. Really, I don't think it really sat. I don't think it
Take
really
the boy out the north.
Yeah, I don't think it really sat on my brain about oh, we're about to go into the biggest competition ever. I don't think it really thought like that. You just sort of trust in your processes and trust in the guys around you and just go and do it. Obviously, we played Argentina in the first game of that at 2011, and again, probably didn't really perform, but it was that Argentina side that just defended for Britain and were hard to break down, unless you were the All Blacks and they smashed them. But so you want to have a good performance to set your momentum. So that's the only thing that England didn't really get. Yes, they can brush it under the carpet and go, well, we got our bonus point, we've got that win. Yes, we didn't perform. I don't think they'll overanalyze it, because I don't think you'll ever drop 13 balls again or whatever they drop. But you've just got to sort of roll with the punches, and you can't really dwell because you don't have time. You have to move on. So, I mean, that's a good thing about it.
What were the other pluses, Freeman?
Manu, obviously. Off the top of my head,
back three. I thought the back three were good. To be fair,
getting Slade back on the field.
Yeah,
I'm not sure that he's going to make this World Cup.
He won't make the actual.
I don't think he'll stay. He looked absolutely crippled.
Yeah, his knee looked knackered.
Yeah.
But if he was fit, would you go with Ford and Farrell?
No, I would go Farrell, Slade, and have Slade at 12 though, if he's fully fit. But he looked like he was battling with his knee.
Yeah,
I know he got.
Which he did. He did in training at Penny Hill a couple of months ago.
Yeah.
Manu, obviously back three. You liked set piece. I tell you the other thing I want to ask you about is, and credit to where credit's due, Steve Borthwick, England's defensive line-out is beginning. Obviously, they had a field day against Ireland in that World Cup warm-up, and against Italy and Newcastle. But England's defensive line-out is picking up more and more opposition ball. Is that a trend you're spotting, or is that?
I'm looking at it from the Irish point of view.
Yeah.
So, like, I just know that, like, during the Six Nations, the last two Six Nations, Ireland. Generally, you like when you're just what my experiences are in coaching is you're always going to prioritize your own ball.
Yeah.
So as you're layering it in, you'll train your own ball, and then you'll bring in systems for coaching or for contesting. So you're either going to contest, you're going to man watch, in which case you want to have guys who are pretty good at jumpers all the way through, or else you might go with a system which, if you watch how the Springboks are defending, they're cutting off the middle and the back.
Yeah.
So they're giving you the front, and if you go there, they might try and contest it, but they're going to go with two pods of three, cutting off the middle and the back. And
that's to feed their line speed in defence, really.
Exactly. And if you watch, like, when Ireland against Scotland, so sorry, I'll go back. So the point, what I'd seen from the Irish point of view is when they played against England, they were trying the 50-50 balls into the middle and back, and Itoje was just picking it off, because when you're throwing to the back, he can start, say, if you divide the 10 metres that you have in the line into 5 zones, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 being the 15, he was starting in around zone 4, and when they tried to pick off the ball to zone 5, he's so quick on the ground and so quick to get in the air, he was picking them off, and they were throwing 50-50s. And you just need to prioritise winning the ball. And Ireland weren't doing that. And then that's what they got, no set piece launch against England. And looked at everything was bad against England that day. But yeah, the English contesting lineout is pretty strong, I thought. And then conversely, then when you looked at Ireland at the weekend, they secured their own ball and they got massive momentum off it. The Scottish launches off their set piece was terrible. Man. winning the ball at the front. Greg Laidlaw has to throw a 16-metre pass. And while that ball is in the air, all the Irish backline are shooting up. There's no animation. All they want to do is get Stuart Hogg and try and get him a one-on-one out in the 15-metre channel. But by the time Stuart Hogg gets the ball, Gary Ringrose has shut him down because they've taken the ball off the front. So if you're going to take the ball off the front, if that's where the space is and you have to win the ball there, but you've got to play another phase before you
got
go
to figure
to the
it
edge.
out. Yeah, whether you drive it and then get everyone sucked in, or whether you do something where you can peel it, or you can do something, or you can just drop a forward pod off and then absorb that back pod of the defence.
If you are Scotland now, we'll come on to Ireland. If you are Scotland now, how big a hole are you in?
Well, you're in a big hole because
Hamish Watson gone, Ali Price gone.
You've lost two players. You've probably lost your best. Well, apart from Hoggy, probably and Finn Russell, your best player forward in terms of with Watson. Obviously, then you've lost Ali Price as well. Who's come out that
Henry Pyrgos,
who's not a bad player to be fair, but everything went wrong. So it's quite an easy one to brush under the carpet. But there's things you go into playing Ireland and for that Irish team, it was the perfect game for them. Scotland played in the wrong areas, so they got territory easy. They gave penalties away in the wrong areas, which is what Ireland wants to get their very set piece dominated. So suddenly you're giving them set piece within 30 metres out from their line. You ain't getting the ball back. Ireland are a possession-based team. They'll use their forwards all the way through. And 4 tries for forwards was it? I think
1 for Conway, 3 for forwards, 1 for Conway.
So that's the perfect game for them, and it was just naivety by Scotland, just playing completely in the wrong areas. But then you see, and then Finn Russell becomes his own worst enemy because then he tries to do something spectacular to get you out of it, and he'll make another mistake, and you just end up compounding mistakes. I think they're just going to have to go. Look, you can't, as I said before, you can't dwell on those performances. They've got to go right. We've just got to get back on the horse and win the next game. Just let's put that aside.
Easier said than done, though.
Well, it is because obviously your confidence is going to take a massive hit, isn't it?
So what does Gregor do?
I'm not sure. He's I think they need to simplify things a little bit. Some of their plays they played. When Conway had the kick through and the foot race with Hogg, like that was. I think that was like a 3-pass play where they won the ball in the middle of the line out. They didn't actually get any momentum, so all the Irish defenders were still ready to sprint forward. Then McNally, the hooker, breaks across, plays the 9, who then goes to try and play the 10. And all, like, where you're trying these little passes, all the Irish defenders are
deep,
shooting forward. Chris Farrell comes up, pressures their skill set, the ball drops, and they go from a line out inside the Irish 22 to defending a scrum 5 metres out. So they need to simplify things. There was some stuff I just didn't understand. Like, when they lost Hamish Watson, they brought their sub hooker on. They brought Fraser Brown on and put him, and they played Thompson, who I thought played really well for them in the World Cup warm-ups.
Yeah,
he's a really good player. What they lack is, it's easy to say a Billy Vunipola, but they lack someone that you can just be real simple and just say, here, boom, get us some front football, and we'll go from there. Because all their plays are quite intricate, and they have some brilliant players. I think that the replacement 9, George Horn, is phenomenal. Ali Price is class, but I just don't think he's performed for them internationally, and I think they use Laidlaw to kind of.
The problem is that you've got a genuine Scottish team that's picked to play rugby. They want to play quite loose, quite fast. Is Greg the right person to do that for them? His pass, as you said, if he's going to be firing 16 minutes, it's not the fastest of passers. He's not the quickest away from the base. So, but yet he'll control the game for you. But then are you stuck between what your identity is with Finn Russell at 10, Hoggy at 15? Your pack is quite lightweight to move around the field. And then is your 9 controlling it from? I don't know. My question is, you'd be better with a quicker distributor getting the ball up and away. That way, you hopefully, if you can get quick ball off fast phases, you're negating that line speed that's naturally coming at you. But you look at how New Zealand figured it out against South Africa. South Africa's line speed is just insane, but they just were quite happy to play into it to figure it out. And when they did, it was simple for them.
Wales. Tick the box or double tick?
It's. I think they double ticked. I think the only thing that's is that they scored 4 first half tries all off structured play, and they used Gareth Davies really, really well there. But when they play Australia, I kind of those tier 1 teams won't give you that kind of easy ins off structured play. So second half they scored 2 unstructured tries in the second half, which is how they probably will beat Australia if they do beat Australia. But I think they did the job on Georgia, but their work rate at times they just need to work harder. I think Australia are going to play to the edge all the time. They're going to try and move the ball to the edge, and Fiji targeted the wide breakdowns against Australia, and they got great returns from it. And I think with George North, with Josh Adams, with Liam Williams, John Davies, they're all real powerful. They can win those collisions, and they'll target those, and that's when it's the turnover ball. That's why the All Blacks are better than anyone else, because just the skill set they don't need structure, they don't need anything. If their line out is going to shit, they can still rip you apart if you just have a sloppy kick. That's the difference. So I thought Wales played well, but I would have preferred if it was all unstructured stuff. You said this is going to translate when they go against the bigger teams.
No, a tick and a half for me, because those
B+.
Yeah, because those first set piece tries that they got, they're never going to get that against a decent team. I mean, the defence, Georgia's defence was just all over the shop.
Were you disappointed by Georgia, given the Six Nations talk?
Where you would say you would be disappointed is when someone's done a line-out move one time against you, it's gone 10 back inside to the blindside winger, and you've left your prop at the back, and he's being exposed. You'd think, well, okay, we won't leave our prop at the back. We might change that around so we can fill that gap, or you go half in. So you get your 10 to mark opposite, or you do something. You don't just leave it exactly the same and they do exactly the same move, and this time he goes through and scores. Their defence, how they set up Georgia, was all over the place. But then you still have to go through and you have to complete it and you have to pull off the move, and which Wales did well, and I thought they looked competent in everything that they were doing. But I still think that it was a bit easy for them.
What about their attack? Obviously, I mean, of all the build-ups, going to lose your attack coach on the eve of the tournament. What did you make it? Go on.
It's not, well, the criticism is that they weren't scoring tries when Rob Howley was there. And then he was gone, and now they scored a heap of tries. So.
Hence the question, yeah.
That's the thing. Is I think with Stephen Jones coming in, you're going to get set piece strikes a fair bit better. 10 who's probably been around.
How quickly can you instigate that? I mean,
strikes is easy because you'll do you're doing whilst the forwards are actually beating the crap out of each other. We'll run 10 strikes or whatever. You pick your ones. You'll have a playbook. Well, you might have a playbook of things that you would do and against certain defences, and you start pulling out the ones you want to try. But I think they won't have necessarily looked at the Georgia and gone, well, what's going to work against their defence? They'll go, right, what do we probably want to use going forward? Yeah. Obviously, having someone like Gareth Davies who runs so well off at 9, you want to use that from a left-handed scrum. You've got to, because it's one of his major strengths. So, and then obviously having Jonathan Davis and Hadley Parks, who are power runners, gives you a lot of options. Him going across, those two going straight. You'll have your 10 out the back. So let's work on that. And that's something that Jonesy would have probably put in straight away. But as you said with Jerry, they have literally had the worst attack in the Six Nations, yet they won a Grand Slam. Well done. But literally, that's nothing. Well, maybe a little bit. But Italy scored the same amount of tries than you. Then they need something different. So it could be the best thing that's ever happened to them. Yeah.
Which is extraordinary. 12 years you have Rob Howley as your attack coach, and then you go into the tournament where the hopes are at their highest, swap him out, bring in Steve. It sort of devalues the point of a coach, doesn't it? If you can just interchange like that.
Well, the Scarlets have been running those plays, all those lineup moves, like the rip back to just some of the. I've seen the Scarlets run all those kind of plays off their lineouts for the last few years. So it's not. It's like Mike said, it's not rocket science to do them. It's just they won't be as effective against good D. Yeah. It's just that if you're playing against Gareth Davies and a team gives you back ball against him, and then he gets the ball there, he's only got to take 3-4 steps, he's already got outside your tail gunner. He's got to your 10. Now your 10's hips have turned in, and everyone's going, oh shit! And then he can just pick off whoever he wants.
Yeah.
So it was poor D.
It was atrocious.
Okay, I want to ask you one more question about Billy V, just as one of the sort of standout moments. It's not often you see him get put on his backside like that. Is that something that the team will just wince and move quietly on, or will someone like a Marla just be whispering in the ear?
I'm sure he'll get some stick about it. But no one will really. Well, actually, unless they're trying to fire him up for the next game.
Yeah.
But you'd be just like, are you all right? Really? We actually need you.
Take your teeth out next week.
You okay? Don't do that again. Just get rid of it. I'll take it in. But he's getting enough game time recently. Isn't
Have
he?
you ever been cleaned out by in an incident like that?
No,
we talked about it the other
day.
day.
Yeah, Brian Lima.
The
chiropractor ended me. You get ended every now and again. It's good. Good for the soul, I think.
Good for your health insurance.
He might do a bit more footwork this week.
Yeah. Can you remember going up against someone and thinking, I'm not sure I need too much more of that in my life?
I got maimed by Jason White there a few years ago.
Did you?
Yeah. Eddie O'Sullivan was our coach with the national team at the time. And he used to have this thing about round the corner, because we used to play real simple with Munster because our pack was always pretty strong. So we used to go around the corner off strings. And he's put up a chart and he'd kind of go, you can't just keep going around the corner like this because you'll get killed. And I was like, we're not going to get killed, man. We kill these guys at club level all the time. And then we got the ball against Scotland. I remember I came around the corner and whatever line I took, Jason White was just running full pelt. And as I went to catch the ball, he hit me. And honestly, man, maimed me. I was lying on the ground like this, and I could hear someone Scottish shouting, "Are you still alive?" And he
got to take him.
Took my soul.
Yeah. Took your soul.
Get up without.
To be fair, Billy V got up with a big smile.
Yeah,
he loves a bit of that. I'm sure we'll see a few more of those before the tournament is done.
Technically, was that a high shot? No arm, wasn't it?
You tell me, no arms. That one.
Yeah.
Should we come on to that in a moment? Hold that thought.
Right.
Just while you do that, we've got a few other bits obviously to get stuck into. We're also going to talk about refereeing as well. But you are watching and listening to House of Rugby, brought to you by Joe, together with our very good friends at Guinness, with me, Alex Payne, alongside Mike Tindall and Jerry Flannery. Good to have you both with us. Still to come, we're going to talk a bit about the Southern Hemisphere sides. But between now and then, if you haven't already been listening or watching Liquid Football, where on earth have you been?
Wayne Rooney. Come on, son.
Oh, this is going to be brilliant.
Come on,
He's
son.
answer.
He'll answer.
Wes is going to answer.
Come on, lad. Don't let me down.
He texted.
I'll phone you back in a bit, pal.
In bed.
I'll phone you back in a bit. Sorry, mate. I'll phone you back in a bit. See you later.
That is Liquid Football with the fabulous Kelly Cates every Monday here on Joe, and you can subscribe now via iTunes or watch it on YouTube. Do get stuck in. We had Wayne Bridge with us last week at a live show. Nice, very nice guy. Quite a big rugby fan as well. Yeah. Big fan of yours and Has. How was your live show last week?
It was good.
Where were you?
We were in the Guinness Open Gate Brewery.
Lovely venue.
Yeah, it was good. It was good. It was a good laugh. We
and you had Greg along. Is he now Love Islander who plays a bit of rugby, or is he a rugby player who went on Love Island?
I think he's pretty much trying to stay in his lane. He's full time training with the Sevens now, trying to go to the World Cup. So he
must be taking a fearful amount of shit at the same time, isn't he?
I think he's just
probably gets away with it. Sevens a bit more than 15.
Yeah, probably.
What he said, we asked him about it in the show. We just said, listen, so how did it work out for you Sevens wise? He said, look, well, they contacted him through Instagram, and they just said, listen, would you like to come on the show? So we said, I approached, I think Anthony Eddy is the Sevens coach. And he just said, listen, I'd like to go on Love Island. He goes, absolutely not. And he went, oh, okay. And went back, and then went back into training, and they played some tournament in France. And then he said eventually they got back to him again on Instagram, and they said, listen, we'd love to have you on the show. And he said, well, our tournament's finished now, but you'll have to fly me directly from France. And then he said, okay. So he was able to go in this time, whereas what they think they try and keep put people in seclusion.
Yeah, that's right.
So that like he said that they would there was one guy who was in a hotel on his own with a chaperone with no phone for 3 weeks. The guy's gone kind of spare.
Oh my God.
But,
wow.
but Greg only had to do one day and then went in. And he said when he got in, then there was they're all covering their mics, and they were like, "How many followers have I got?"
Oh, wow.
And then like, is it Tommy Fury? Tommy Fury was like, "Did my brother win his fight?" And he was, "Yeah." And then he said the producers found out, and they were giving Greg shit over it. Like, but he's a very normal guy.
Really?
He's just like he said, "Look, it's like I went on a holiday for 2 weeks, and I came out, and suddenly my life is completely different."
25 G's in the back pocket.
Yeah, and whatever else he's going to pick up endorsement wise,
Yeah.
but he's still got his head. He's I've got my law exams, and I want to try and get to the World Cup. And then the lads are like, "You're not going to do your law exams."
What a boy. That is obviously Baz and Andrew's house. Why haven't you got your name on that yet?
I'm not part of the
Baz
package.
and Andrew and Jerry. Sort of turning
It's
into
too long
Bill and
then,
Ted's
isn't it?
Excellent Adventures.
Jerry likes to just sit above and look down.
Yeah, exactly.
Play with
Yes.
people like pawns.
Puppet.
Knock them
You
over.
could give it like the
Yeah.
Emperor's thumb.
Yeah.
You know, yes or no.
Yeah,
Something like that.
you have a completely skewed conception.
Oh, we're building it up. I like to build up profiles. Baz and Andrew's House of Rugby. Do have a little visit of that if you would like.
When I was leaving the live venue, Wayne Bridges' mates were literally trying to force him to bully him to go out. I was like, "Why aren't you going out?" And he's like, "Will you fuck off?" And I
Really?
was trying to get away from his mates. Mates are like, "You're not going. We'll just get another one." And he was like, "No, I'm going." And they're like, "No, you're not." I was like,
Rough ride.
"Ah."
We had some quite good interaction on the Facebook page this week, actually, off the back of our very enjoyable live show. Merchandise is available. Have you seen our merch?
No.
I should have bought you a signed T-shirt, actually.
Yeah, I think Jerry's
Use
definitely
that to clean the windscreen on the way home.
He's definitely a serious operator.
Yeah, definitely a serious operator. Not a man who would microwave his moule
No,
mariniere. All Blacks. Theirs to lose.
I wasn't 100% convinced. I thought it wasn't a great Springbok performance. I thought the first half, I thought their attack was really, really poor. I thought everyone focuses so hard on the line speed that they bring and the pressure that they bring in their pressure game, which I thought was pretty effective. But it's just that they didn't apply anything on the other side of it when they had the ball. And then eventually the South African wingers are coming in so far because they're so athletic that they can generally get back out if there's a pass. But when the kick pass goes in, it's difficult to recover from that. And you know, the All Blacks were clinical, but I don't think it's a done deal yet. You know, I think that the box should get better.
Yeah.
Their attack can't be as bad as it was in the first half.
No.
For the rest of the tournament, they can build into it.
He can.
You can.
No, I think I've said from the start. I think the South Africa's been overrated from that, just from the Rugby Championships.
Yeah.
You know, I don't feel that New Zealand or Argentina threw their best efforts at it, and I don't think the South African attack is that great. It's still hidden behind brutal force. Now, if you run over the top of people, you can make it happen. But just having watched the first half again just then, New Zealand were just toying with them. Like, they were quite happy for them to have the ball because they believed they wouldn't. They never get it.
Just toying with them? Genuinely?
Well, when I watched it back then, I just thought they were quite happy to defend them, and then they were playing from everywhere, and they weren't worried about not keeping the ball. You think, oh my God, it looks frantic and it looks messy, but they kept doing it, and then they sort of figured out how to get their attack going, obviously with the kick pass and then the amazing finish that went. But then the second try where they were waiting for them to fly out the line, Bowden Barrett was so off to throw a dummy, get behind them, and then he was an offload over the top there through the back. That is the downside. If you fly up that fast and someone can throw a dummy and get a half shoulder, if everyone floods the channel, you're buggered. Because they literally don't really fly up as a flat line and then stop as someone goes in tackle. They keep going past. So then you are literally exposed and
stuffed.
And those two ones that did get exposed. Now, whether they can get better, I haven't seen that much of their attack that I think is world changing if you can front up on their forward pack. But
I think I agree with you in terms of they're predictable, because it's brute force. It's still not easy, but you said about the Argentina. I thought the Argentinians were average, man.
Yeah, that's
average.
what I meant in the Rugby Championship. I keep calling it Four Nations. In the Rugby Championship, yeah, they were average too.
Even against France. Well, in the France game, all they had, like when I say all they had is probably like you're comparing it to winning a World Cup. So if you're talking about winning a World Cup, you compare it to what New Zealand have.
Yeah.
And that's the standard. And I think when you watch the All Black forwards carry the ball, they take the ball moving forward.
Yeah.
They don't take the ball static, Because if I take the ball static and then I go to pass, everyone's just shifting straight away. If I take the ball, if it's a run, catch, run, or run, catch, pass, and most of the other teams don't have that ability, I would have seen a lot of similarities in the English team with the box. Not so much that they're just so focused on the kicking game, but if you watch, the spine of the English team is pretty much the Sarries team. It's Jamie George, it's Itoje, it's Billy Vunipola, it's Owen Farrell, it's Elliot Daly. I know he's only gone there.
Which he probably would. He played well when he came on, so George Cruz will probably start.
But I've been watching that. I've been watching the was it Rising Suns? Is it?
Oh yeah.
I've been watching that, and I just see how much ball work that the English players are doing, and I can see that their offloading skills are massively improving. Like, it's small things like someone like Ellis Genge carrying the ball into contact. He doesn't have to get an offload where he beats the guy and get his hands free on the far side, like Sonny Bill Williams with long levers. But he wins the collision, buys him a second. The whole defensive line will come up, and then he just keeps it alive. That's where I see the difference. That's why I think England could be contenders. But I think the Boks have more in them. I agree with you that their go-to is always going to be, I'm going to run over you and you've got to defend it. But
maybe it's just the fact that I want to see Colby with his hands in the ball more and Beppe with his hands in the ball more. But Willie LaRue didn't really get into like he normally does. If Willie LaRue's getting his hands on that ball 10, 15 times in a first receiver sort of playmaker role, then that's when they play their best. But he didn't do that on the weekend. I wouldn't say that Pollard was amazing either. And then Faf de Klerk was. But
it must be
he kept kicking the ball away, which is when you Faf de Klerk don't kick the ball away, you just run.
But it must. I mean, from a layman's point of view, it must be so demoralising to dominate territory possession, Feely getting on top in a game like that, and go from 3-0 up to 17-3 down without having sort of. Had the chance
it was
to
a weird
catch your
one
breath.
because with the territory and possession, it was all given to them. They didn't really make a line break to get them there. It wasn't great attack that got them there. It was pressure from the defence, a couple of charge downs. New Zealand playing like just throwing the ball completely. So I'm not sure whether. I mean, I'm on a group with the Smutbees, literally 200 South Africans, just saying for the last 2 months how they're going to win the World Cup, and I'm just
Gone a bit quiet.
Yeah, guys. No, all they're doing now is blaming referees.
Right.
I've never seen so
Which
many
seems to be a
whinging
trend,
Saffers blaming referees. But
I want to come on to us. Razzie. Did you learn a lot from him? Did you enjoy working with him?
Yeah. Rassie was brilliant for Munster. He was amazing.
Yeah.
And for me personally, I learned if Rassie called me in the morning and said we got to get rid of a body, I'd be like, okay, let's go, let's get rid of it.
How many times did you make that?
Yeah, how many exactly? We've gone there before with one or two other Irish coaches, haven't we?
He was incredible. He was incredible when he came into Munster because we were absolutely in the shit when he came in, and it was a really difficult dynamic to parachute him in.
Yeah.
As a director of rugby with access to this head coach, even though that was the strategic plan, but they just accelerated it a year, and it wasn't handled very well. And I thought that was the first thing that kind of won me over at Rassie, because I was looking to leave Munster when I knew this was happening, because I said Axel was the guy that I looked up to all my career, and he was the captain when I played. He got me into coaching, and I said if there's going to be, I could just see that there would be friction between the two of them. And I said, if there is going to be friction, I said, I'm going to have to fall. Even though I think that Munster are going to side with Rassie, the guy they've just brought in, I said, I've got to side with Axel. So I didn't want to be part of that.
Yeah.
And then I met Rassie, and Axel met Rassie, and then and Rassie just said, listen, he said, if it's me, I'll go. If it's you, you'll go. If it's Axel, he'll go. He said, but we've got to make it work together. And I spoke to Axel, and Axel said, listen, he said, I think he's a really good guy. And he was, and he absolutely empowered Axel. And it was only seeing when you have somebody else in the organization doing all of the role that Axel had been dumped with.
Yeah.
Axel was involved he was in charge of recruitment, of retention, managing the relationship with the RFU, all of the things that, like, you've just gone from an assistant coach into a head coach, but you're also doing the director of rugby's job. That Rassie took a lot of that off Axel's shoulders and got him back coaching, and he just simplified everything for us. Now I know there's a model that the South African rugby is renowned for, and Rassie was probably involved with that with in developing that. But he brought it in, and there's just layers that have to get added onto it because it only takes you so far. I've seen that with Munster, that they took a group that had barely scraped into Europe and put a game plan that was a territory-based game plan that's quite pragmatic, that takes advantage of players like Conor Murray's skill set. And because of the Gaelic football that we play in Ireland, a lot of the players are good aerially, and they just took advantage of that. So we played a lot of our rugby in the opposition half. We didn't play much rugby here, and that gets you so far. And teams probably underestimated as well Rassie's first year, and we won more games than we'd ever won, ever. And he did loads for us there. And I think all the while it was like, he's like, I'm not going back to South Africa. I'm not going back to South Africa. He kept saying it, like, and we said, okay, well, great, we've got Rassie. And then eventually it happened. But I think,
Did he explain why he then went back?
well, he said that it was his dream to coach South Africa all the time.
Yeah.
And he left because he felt that South African rugby wasn't in the right place and that his words weren't being heeded. And as he left, their ranking just went boom, 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 boom.
So that year they lost to Italy in November, didn't they?
Politically, man, there's so much stuff going on there that probably we wouldn't be privy to. And, because you've had apartheid for so long, like no one gives you a book and says, this is how you right those wrongs. So they try, they're trying their best to fix those things, but I don't know what it takes, but it takes someone special to try and get everyone on board and get them aligned. And I think South African rugby, like the South African head coach, couldn't ring up a full back in the Sharks and say, listen, I watched it the weekend. I think you need a little bit of work on your aerial game, or I think you need to step up as second receiver on the short side. He couldn't do that. He would have to contact the CEO or the head coach. That's ridiculous, And Rassie, when he came over to Ireland, then he saw how the Irish system works, and the Irish system always prioritises the national team. And he would have said, like, I can't come back to South Africa because you need to make these changes. So I think he got a lot of things put right for South Africa before he even came back. Right. And he's come in now.
They had to make changes before he would accept it, basically.
That's it, yeah. So I had a journalist in Ireland say to me, I was doing a media day, and he said to me, I didn't know whether he was trying to piss me off or what, I don't know. He just
Brave
said to
man
me,
if he was.
He said so when Rassie was lying to us for all that time, saying he wasn't coming back, and I said, fuck, man. I was like, he wasn't lying to us. Like, he wasn't going to go back.
Yeah.
Like, why would you go back and take the head job?
That current circumstances.
It's ridiculous. And if you look at what he's done now, if they tonk at the World Cup, the fact that the head coach can now go and contact the players, the fact that all of their best players who are playing abroad are available for the national team now.
Yeah.
Like, South Africans rugby is in a way better position. It's just that he came in so late in the World Cup cycle that I don't know how many layers he can add to it. Like,
yes.
What Mike's criticisms of South African rugby are legit, because it is predictable. It relies on just having these massive players trying to run over the top of you. But that's kind of easy enough to defend. If I know this guy's going to run at me, even if I'm 100 kgs, he's 120, I'll still throw my body in there and go, But like,
you've got front up, but sometimes they can still get over the top of you. But
but when that guy's running at me, and next minute he's throwing a pass out there, I can't defend that, and that's the difference between having players at that higher skill set like there is in New Zealand. But you can add layers to it. You got to just spend time developing the players. It's just that Rassie and Jack Nienaber, who's the defense coach, they came into it so late. They came into the World Cup cycle so late that I'm not sure if they can progress things that far.
Felix Jones out there as well.
Yeah. So
Next Munster full.
Sijs de Bruin, Felix and myself left Munster in May, and it's obviously it's weird. Like, when you leave, I know you coached as well. Like, when you leave, you have things are so structured, and then you're kind of like, I'm missing that structure now. And I'd be WhatsApping Felix. I said, this feels pretty weird, man. Because I know the lads are back to pre-season training now, and he's like, yeah, I know it does feel weird. But we just kept watching rugby, and I know Felix went around to a couple of the clubs here in England, and you have to have it that, like, coaching is a really selfish job, but it's unbelievably fulfilling when you're doing it, But Rassie had been on to Felix a few times about getting to come over, and he was staying with Munster, and then Sijs de Bruin, their attack coach, was taken ill, unfortunately, and then Felix just said, I'm going to South Africa. And I said, well, there you go. You've just gone. You're 32 years of age. You've been coaching the Munster attack for the last 3 years to 3 European semi-finals. I know it's not silverware, but that's not bad
Still
considering we
far
couldn't get
enough
into
down the
Europe.
road.
Yeah, young guy.
We've been to like a Pro 14 final. It feels a little bit hollow when I say that because it's like I'm kind of you're not achieving like, but I said he's 32 years of age. I don't know if there's a younger attack coach in Europe, and now he's got World Cup experience. And like normally, if someone said you want to coach the box at a World Cup, you've got to go. I got to take my family to South Africa now for the next 4 years. What's that going to be like? Will we be alive by the time I get to the World Cup? And but he just dropped straight in, so he's in the mix there now. So there's a good Munster element there between Rassie, Jacques Nienaber.
Yeah.
Aled Walters was the head of performance
Lovely
in
bloke.
Munster, and Felix there. So like they're kind of my second team now,
Are they?
So if
We'll get you a shirt, Jerry. You can.
well, if the box win the World Cup, we'll have an Irishman with a World Cup winner.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
Or is it I?
It's not looking overly optimistic at the moment, but we'll see.
I'd love to talk more about Rassie at some point. He never did the traffic lights. Do you remember him doing the traffic light on the roof at Bloemfontein when he had the cheetahs?
Yeah,
Did he ever come up with madcap ideas like that? And
he
just for those that don't know, he had a red, an orange, and a green paddle, and he went up onto the top of
not
Free State.
paddle. No, he had traffic lights.
Oh, they
actually.
were actually traffic lights.
Yeah, he had traffic lights. So he had. So they would have patterns. So you'd have like a red pattern, which might be like a two hit ups and then come back to the blind side, or you might have a blue pattern, which is just keep going around the corner, and you might have a green pattern, which is hit up once and come straight back. Yeah, but the players, Rassie was saying, like the players would this was the cheetahs, and the players would be playing in the stadium. They'd look up. They'd have a line. They'd look up and they'd see red, and then they'd be like, "Okay, we know what the pattern is," and they'd do it because Rassie would be looking to see what way the defense is folding. Are they just keep folding around the corner? And a lot of the stuff, it seems kind of ridiculous now, but if you did that stuff back then, it just gives you such a massive advantage. And Rassie was telling, it's not like he tells me these stories that to pump his own tires, but he was telling me that he said when I played, he said I got a laptop. And like computers weren't like common back then. And he said I figured out how to code. I kept coding games. And he said I went to our coach at the time. I'm not sure. Can you remember the dude's name? He was like, I think he was a Kiwi.
This was South Africa. It wasn't Nick Mallet.
No, not Nick Mallet. No, he just told me there's a coach there. Rassie was quite like he was very, very driven to win all the time. So if he felt like that. He said like, some of that can almost step over the line where you almost feel like you're stepping on the coach's toes. But he said, listen, I've seen this thing with Australia where they keep doing this exit pattern. This is probably in 2001. And they keep doing an exit pattern where Gregan comes back and he bounces back and he always throws it back here off a line out. They throw it to Langford, or they throw it to Eels and they slap it back. And he goes, okay, we'll take a gamble on it, so Rassie. And Rassie took the gamble on it in the last minute of the game against Australia, intercepted the ball, and he says he grounded the ball, but there was no TMO. And I was like, oh shit, man. And so for a dude like that, it's difficult. Like if players aren't as, if they love the game as much, but that's
ownership of it.
Yeah, but that's players these days, you get some old coaches who seem like they hate players because the players aren't the players that they played with.
Yeah.
But that's just because generations change and they're still
fascinating guy.
But Rassie is unbelievable. He was
guy.
And a level changer in terms of like you'd walk into a room and in South Africa they said like it goes like the Prime Minister, the Minister for Sport and the Springbok head coach. That's the order of Phil in terms of the most important people in the country.
Wow.
And Rassie would be there like chatting to underage coaches, and then he'd level shift and be up like dealing with the Prime Minister, working on something politically to help like the Sevens team, and then he'd just level shift again. He's unbelievable, man.
There you go.
Be an interesting guy to chat to.
Yeah.
And he brought the beer back into Munster as well.
Did he?
Because we were so paranoid about like that we weren't being professional enough, and that, you know, we weren't reaching the standards, that we were like, no drinking. And Rassie came in and said, like, we'll have beer in the dressing room when we win a game. We'll have a beer. If we lose a game, we'll have a beer. And then, you know, it was just made it normal again. Players all loved it.
You and Ackerman lost it.
Brought back the beer. Bring back the beer. And the beer.
Yeah.
You mentioned Australia. Fiji. I went with Fiji actually in the match point
Did you?
predictor.
I haven't done any match.
And at half time, I was looking quite good for that, actually. If you're not in the House of Rugby League, do get involved, download the app and come play in the league. I'm sort of paddling about quite low on the table at the moment. Australia.
Well, I think, what you'd say about them, to come back from where they were, and the sort of the first 20 that Fiji had, first half really, that Fiji had, then for them to sort of get back into control, went back to set piece, took away their strengths, two drive over tries. You give them credit, because in the first half you think this Fiji team looks like a world beaters, and then Yato went off, and he was unbelievable for the 30, however long he was on for. I can't remember how long it was, but he was amazing. What's wrong with my voice?
Sounds really good.
I
Johnny
think
Cash.
Yeah. I thought for them it was a great result and showed they have something about them. But still, we'll see. Jury's still out. I think the jury's still out on pretty much everyone, apart from sort of, where New Zealand and South Africa are. Obviously, we'll say South Africa can do better.
Yeah.
But everyone else is sort of, we haven't had those big clashes yet, have we?
No. What did you make of the Fiji-Australia game?
Fiji, just phenomenal, man.
Unplayable.
The physicality, Botia, that 12/6.
Yeah.
That guy's an animal, man.
Yeah.
He was just killing people, and Radradra just coming in. Radradra played for Toulon against us at Munster, and I remember a few months back, one of my missus's friends was she's an Aussie, and her husband, they were flying around Europe, and they stayed with us, and he was there to me, have you got Toulon in your group this year? I said, yeah. He goes, you got to see this guy Radradra. And I was like, oh, okay. And he showed me some clips, and I said, fuck, shit enough. And then he wasn't particularly phenomenal against us that day. He just didn't get an opportunity. But I thought he was incredible, man. He was just sitting people down.
That's the thing.
Strength.
That's the thing with them, is if they just had discipline, they gave away so many stupid penalties, and then they got angry with the ref.
Yeah.
So then the 50-50s that were actual, they always lost. Because they'd given away so many dull ones where they just played the ball on the wrong side, played the 9, things that they just didn't need to do. They didn't need to do it. Yes, they were doing such a good job of putting pressure on the breakdown, but then they just gave away so many dull ones. Then the referee's like, well, if you give them away that many dull ones, I'm going to ping you on the 50-50s.
Yeah.
Or, whether you like it or not, referees, if you're giving away a lot of penalties, which they did, I think they gave away 16 penalties, Fiji, then he's going to side with the other side on 50-50s, and it killed them, because then they got frustrated and they gave away more. Yeah, they were unlucky with that, with Reece Hodge not getting carded. But
Unlucky?
Well, they were unlucky because he should have been.
Yeah. But I mean, it leads on to the refereeing, actually. I don't know how you, I don't know if you do a bit of social media, you do a little bit. I'm finding the Twitter thing utterly exhausting at the moment. It's sort of slightly killing the enjoyment, because you're watching some amazing rugby and of course there are going to be errors, but it's just, Jesus, the debrief afterwards is just painful to wade through. Having said that, I mean, interesting that World Rugby came out and said we've been really frustrated by the lack of consistency from our refereeing panel. Is this just where the game is right now? I mean, we seem to talk about referees off the back of every single game, but Jesus,
but it's whether
Christ,
it's the
it
other
must
way
be a hard
around
job.
now. Is that we've talked about that this World Cup's going to be decided on a referee decision, and it's now looking like they're mitigating everything down so they don't have to make that decision. So when Sam Warburton got that red card, and everyone's going, look, you've got to mitigate that down. It was this, it was that. And they didn't do that. Whereas now no one wants to be that referee that does that and then maybe ruins someone's chances. I don't know. But, there definitely should have been a red card this morning.
Yeah. in the
second
Samoa.
Yeah, it's funny. Some
Russia
people
game.
said the first one, but the second one he went to absolutely smash him and didn't change his level whatsoever. Yes, the guy was slightly bent, but he was going to maim.
Yeah.
Whereas the first one was like it was more of a he dropped it, he was catching it and dropping down, and he did shift his body height, but
A bit like the Anthony Watson one in the England Tonga game. So what do you make of? Do you sympathise with referees? Are they getting it wrong and should be held up? And
I think it's an incredibly difficult job. If you think of it, like rugby is a complicated game, and there's so many things happening at any one time. Like the odd time when I was coaching at Munster, I would have to step in and try and ref the session, and I would be the shittest ref ever. I would just be getting wiped out by players. I was getting in their way all the time. And then when we get like Johnny Lacey or Joy Neville or Andrew Brace would come in, and they used to practice with us.
Yeah.
And I turned around and said, "I'm so glad you're here, because it's this such a difficult job." And you look what happened at the Under-20 Rugby World Cup last year, or just gone, where they put this emphasis on, contact with the head, and there was like red cards, yellow cards everywhere. I'm seeing a lot of stuff as well now, but it's probably, the referees are going out and whatever directive comes down to them, they've got to be red hot on that.
yeah,
And then they probably miss a load of other stuff, but they're human, you know what I mean? Unless you're going to create some sort of robots. I don't know I don't know how you...
you can't put it all on that one man in the middle. The ARs, we're talking a lot.
So with that
a lot
Rhys Hodge incident, would you like to have seen the TMO review that? I mean, they having sat in many a television truck, they tend to have the game. They have two cameras. They have the live one, and then they have it on a 30-second delay, so they can flick. They see something, they can then watch it immediately off the back of it. Oh, is that the incident where the TMO should come in and say you need to have a look at this, or is that
the dynamic changes? Because what you would have thought previously, like if you're 45 years of age, what you would have thought from when you were 10 to when you were 44 is okay. Suddenly, like that is now not okay.
Yeah.
So that's difficult. Like when you watch Rhys Hodge there, I don't think Rhys Hodge is going to say, "I'm going to shoot this guy in the head."
Yeah.
He's actually running. He's over. I think he's overshot Yato slightly, and he turns. He actually loses the collision as well. It looks like, I've just got boshed.
That's what I said to him. I said, you watch that in full speed, you're going, "Oh my God, poor Rhys Hodge."
Yeah.
So you're not thinking, he didn't try and wrap his arm in. You're just thinking he's been absolutely mowed down. You don't actually register that it was anywhere near his head, really. You just think he's been sort of recoiled off by magnet or something, because he just gets flown that way. And you don't really see Yato like show any signs that he's been hit in the head, do you, when the collision happens? It's just afterwards.
I mean, apparently, I can't remember who the player was, but one of the Fiji players asked for it to be reviewed. And I don't know what the end game is. We're now getting into the territory.
The process
where
should be that if the referee has
eating
missed it
itself.
on there, and that player's down, the TMO should look at it in slow mo, and if he's 100% sure there was like a collision with the head and it needs a review, then he should force that to have a look. You have to have a look at this. You can't then blame the referee. The referee sees it as full speed. He sees Rhys Hodge fly off.
Yeah.
And you have to go forward. He's not thinking, because normally if you see a collision to the head, you're dominating the contact generally, or you will see the head go back. He doesn't see any of those triggers that are going to make him go, "I need to look at that again. I need to question mark." He just sees a guy flying off. He's probably going, "I wonder if he's all right." And then the guy they win the
million
ball
other
and they
things
play
happening around him.
Yeah, and they play on. But that comes down. I mean, it's like with the offsides, and there are so many offsides now because everyone plays such a rush defence.
Yeah.
If they get a jump, there's loads of offsides. Now that should be, again, them all working together. Touchies should be picking that up, the offside. Or if they're not, and the TMO is seeing it, he should be right, lads. I've seen 2 or 3 now offsides. Keep your eye on it. They are straying offside, and asking them to keep an eye on it. But not stopping the game, not influence, but just going, lads. There's quite a few offsides here. Keep an eye on it.
What are we saying? Give the refs a break?
I think
They
the man
need
in the
they
middle.
need some
I
more
think the man in
support.
the middle. Just don't pick it on the one guy because it's not just
a
him.
team.
Yeah.
No, that's good. Is that fair?
It's got to be the team. You've got the TMO along with the ARs working with him. I think they've got to prioritise what is the most. If player safety is the most important thing, well, that's what they've got to be out and they've got to be red hot on. But that's why people just gotta, like, if you took anyone that's complaining about referees and asked them to go out and do that job,
Yeah.
you know,
It's like
the,
anything,
the people that are out there,
man in the
are-
arena.
yeah, the people that are out there are probably the best at it, and
Yeah.
and they're missing it. So it's that difficult.
Just a nod to Wayne Barnes and Paul Williams.
Yeah.
Barner. The world's best.
Yeah, for
Nigel?
sure. I think he's a better referee of the law than Nigel. Nigel just comes out with great sayings that everyone clips up, doesn't he?
Yeah,
Good value.
that's the difference. Is that when we coached and Nigel was reffing, and he's an awesome ref, but you don't know if we've had 6 refs in a row and then we get Nigel, we're going to get something different. Now it's going to be really good for the game, but he may not be applying the same directives that the rest of the lads. But he let the game flow. But you've got to really quickly.
You've got to get into your players and say you've got to sort most of it out because he's probably not going to help you. He's going to let things flow.
That's it. You got to figure out. Okay, he's not going to give us scrum penalties today. Okay, so let's just get the ball in and out because there's no point in trying to win a scrum penalty here because he's not going to do it. But I'm not sure if that you're giving autonomy to one guy, but I don't think it works in a professional game when people are trying to pay the bills.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Would you ever advocate 2 referees? It's been trialled before. I think in they do a lot of these tests in South African university rugby, don't they?
Mm.
Would you be a fan of that?
I really don't know.
Yeah, I just think when you've got 3 are pretty much out there, you shouldn't need another on-field ref. What's
3
it?
and the guy above.
And the guy above.
Okay. One for another day. Very interesting. Quick final question. I'm going to throw them in there. Wales, Ireland, England, Scotland. Who's going furthest in the tournament?
Fucking not Scotland anyway.
Wales, England, Ireland. Who's going furthest in the tournament at this point?
Just on the one performance.
Yep. What we're
Well,
factoring
I
in.
think you would on the one performance you'd probably have to say Ireland. See, that's
So
why I'm
can we
balanced.
frame
really?
that? Can we frame that and have it signed?
That is why I'm balanced, Jerry.
I'd almost kick it back and say I just
There's so
struggle
much
to see-
love on the
Yeah,
show.
yeah.
I just
love
struggle
it.
to see the momentum winners in Wales. I think I'm not sure who their Billy V is going to be.
Yeah.
And I understand that. I thought England were poor against Tonga for what England. For when you see an Eddie Jones coach side, they normally play with massive tempo, and there's like that's why I love Tom Curry. I love Sam Underhill because it's like they haven't been really. They haven't. It's like they haven't been touched by another coach. They're just Eddie Jones's
Raw
They're in
projects,
in his mold, and I felt that it was just sloppy against Tonga. But I still think I don't know how teams are going to deal with Tuolagi and Billy Vanapola. If
And Mako when he gets
and
Buckner
when
Singer
Mako
starts
comes back
against the US
well.
as well.
there's 10 changes, isn't there?
Yeah.
I just think.
Do you like the team that's been picked for the USA? Understand it? Get it?
Yeah.
Would you have played Billy again?
Well, I just believe that they are so concerned that Billy plays better when he doesn't have breaks. I think that's just generally it. They're like, he plays better when he's fit and he's constantly in there. It's a risk because
He'll
we
have
need
40 minutes, hopefully.
we need him. Yeah, but I think it's right. I think it's a game where they can change it around, and they're not going to have much chance to rest anyone after this. So
Yeah.
they needed to do it in this game. So I think it's the right approach to do. I just think in that first game they seem to worry about Tonga too much. They need to just concentrate doing what they do well.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter doesn't matter who you play against. It feels like they were like, okay, if we're going into this, we're going to not give them anyone to hit for the first 20 minutes. It's like, well, New Zealand scored 50, 60 points in the first half against them. Just go do that. Focus on what you're doing and go do that. So I just think they probably got that approach a little bit wrong, but I'm pretty sure they won't make that mistake again.
I have a question. What is the English first choice back three? With Jack Noel coming
For
back
me?
into the mix. Yeah.
For me, it would be Johnny, Anthony Watson, and Jack Noel. If everyone's fit
Who's
and
at
healthy.
15? Anthony.
Anthony Watson, yeah.
So Elliot Daly doesn't make the cut.
I don't think he's. I prefer him as a 13, and I know that Eddie wants him in the team, but I just don't think 1-on-1 he gets the job done. And in a World Cup final, you need someone who's not going to miss tackles at fullback.
Okay.
That's saying to get to the World Cup final. I'm just
Positively. Hashtag English arrogance. I love it. There's one for you, Clegg. You can come clambering aboard on that. Time for this week's Guinness Perfect Pour. Our weekly test in 119.5 seconds, because that's how long it takes to pour the perfect pint. Last week, Jerry, we had Tins and Hask FaceTiming the most famous person in their phone. This week, given that they have done it already, it's your... No, it's not. Who is the most famous person in your phone?
That's a good question. I don't know. I think Dougal from Father Ted.
Yes,
Yes,
that's
that
a
would be
great
outstanding.
shout.
That
I think
would
you'd
be
have won with that.
outstanding.
I think I'm not sure if he likes me, man, because I think I had a few drinks and I was at there was some sort of charity dinner on, and I just kept coming up to him.
Did you
And-
give him the full Norse treatment?
Yeah, but
Quoting lines at him.
no, but on a different level. I kept going up to him, and he would be chatting to. I think there was something to do with AIB Bank. They're an Irish bank, and they're based in London. And we'd flown over, and we had the European Cup. We'd won it, and we're like, "Oh, aren't we great?" And I'd had a few drinks, and every time I saw him, I kept going, "I don't believe it!" And he was looking at me like, "Oh, come on, man!"
He's going,
You know?
do you know, I hear this all the time. I did not expect it from you, Joe. From
Yeah, exactly. Oh yeah, I love. We should do that another time. I love the fact that Hask has eaten David Brent, and you're a Father Ted fan. What is your sitcom of choice? The Royal Family.
The Crown.
The Crown.
Watch out. Series 35.
Who is playing you in The Crown? Is Jason Statham playing you in Series 5 of The
we've
Crown?
Yeah, I've agreed it.
Have you really?
Yeah.
I can't wait to see that.
He's got put on a bit of timber, mind.
Your voice has
At
gone
least,
quite into that.
yeah, well, at least I'll have got a bit more ripped anyway.
that role.
He's got put-
What were we doing? We are
Perfect Pour.
doing Guinness Perfect Pour. So you can either pick a team made up of the best Tier 2 players,
I didn't get an option. That was the
I didn't
only
get
thing
an
I did.
option either.
or you could do best of the Pacific Islands so far. Do you want to do Tier 2?
Tier 2.
Tier
That's
2?
all I
Oh,
have.
he's gone and done some research. Have you done some research as well? Amazing. God, it's nice having people who come with some preparation in them. Right. You can debate between the two of you and then we'll pick it down. Can I borrow your pen? Have you not filled it in?
I'm
I'll
lacking a
go with
second.
it.
I'm lacking a second row. that was
Right,
all.
Jerry, lead us off. Your loose head is.
I was tempted to go with the Georgians because their scrum has been so good, but I went with I'm not sure how you pronounce his first name, but Lagovi Mulipola
Yeah.
from Newcastle,
Yes.
just for a ball carry.
I'll give you Mulipola. Like him.
At hooker, I went with Shalva Mamukashvili
Yep.
because I had to do him at the weekend when he scored the try. I was like, this practicing Mamukashvili.
Very good on a
Like,
Scrabble board.
I did see out of their whole 23, their names only end in Villies, Zeddies, or Vaz.
Is that right?
Every member, there's a lot of Villies in
A
there.
lot of Villies.
Hey, 23.
See what you've done there.
Brilliant.
Tight head is Livan Chilichava. He's
Yeah.
played with Toulon. Thought he played well when he came on. Scrum, won a scrum penalty, scored a try. I'm going to go for my front lock. Is going to be Mamuka Gorgadze.
Yeah. Did you ever play against him? He has been around since time began. I mean, he is.
I don't know. He says he's 30. He's not that he says.
Yeah.
It says he's 35.
He looks
is
like a
the-
supersized John Belushi. Do you know what I mean? From
yeah, I do. Yeah.
Blues Brothers. What a man.
My 5 lock, Leone Nakarawa. At 6, I've gone for we played Cast a few times when I was coaching Munster, and this guy, the number 8, I'm not sure how to pronounce his first name again, so I'm sorry if I get this wrong, but Mama Vaipulu,
Yep.
really, really powerful, quick off the base. He's going to play 6. Picelli Yato
Yeah.
is a shoe-in at 7.
What a player he is.
Bill Mata at 8.
Yep.
This is unbelievable.
It's a proper team, this already,
Yeah.
isn't it?
At 9, he didn't make the starting 15 for Fiji. I've leaned heavily on Fiji here.
Yeah.
But I've gone with Nico Matawalo, just because
Absolute
I'm
rogue.
not going to play structured rugby. I want to just
yeah,
throw it
Jouet,
around.
Jouet.
Yeah.
yeah. I like what you did.
Ben Volavola at 10, Semi Radrada, Levani Botia at 12, Reynald Lilo
Yeah,
at
Ray
13. He caught us up a few times with Cardiff.
He plays for the Blues, doesn't he?
Yeah. Joshua Tuasova,
Legs like tree trunks.
Animal. And then, I'm not sure if I can pick him, but Namani Nondolo
You'll bring him out of retirement.
at 15. I had Gonava here, but he's 37.
Yeah, and he got smoked.
Yeah.
For that
Gonava
try.
he played for Leicester against us
Huh?
one of my first years when I was coaching with Munster, and honestly,
He's incredible.
he stepped 9 players, I think, in one go, and
He
I was
is
just thinking,
incredible.
Here comes the hot
How
stepper.
fast did Coravetti look when you gassed him there?
Yeah.
Wowzers.
Proper quick.
By the way.
That is a very good team, and I would pay good money to come and watch that.
You just got to pick me a second row as I go through this because I'm
Right.
struggling on my second one. I have, and apologies, my prop's probably the wrong way. So I have Mullipola.
Yeah.
Then I have Nariashvili.
Nariashvili.
Then I went on people's performances of the first week.
This guy's a warrior,
So I
man.
went Torsten van der Jaarveld from Namibia.
Namibia.
he's
Great shout.
Because I thought-
Ex-cheetahs, quality.
Because I thought he played really well
Yeah.
and did some good stuff. I've got Nakarawa as one second row. Can you pick me another one?
Yeah, come back to it.
Okay. I went TJ Ione at 6.
Yeah.
I went Yato at 7. I went Gorgadze at 8.
Yeah. Pulling him out of the second row, sticking him into the...
Yeah.
Okay.
No. Gorgadze, not Gorgodze.
Oh, right. Sorry. Apologies.
Tricky when they all end in
Sure,
ZE.
it's yes.
And then I've got Damian Stevens from Namibia at 9. Scored a great
getting a lot of
try,
love.
great support lines, did some really good work in defence. I got Ben Vola
Yep.
at 10. I've got Radradra
Randra.
at 11.
This guy's quality, man.
Yeah.
I can't pronounce his name.
Neasavilu.
Nyafalavu.
Yeah, him.
Why say a Nyafalavu?
And then I've got the Bottier in the centre with him. Then I have Namibia did actually, and then I've got Plateau from Namibia on the wing. Scored that great try, powerful running through. Little fella stepped off the wing, beat the fullback.
Yeah.
And then I've got Nana Williams at fullback.
Yeah.
And that was from my performances. that I
Nanai
watched on the World Cup.
how much went
He
through him
played,
today?
he played really well
Yeah.
this morning.
Have you got second row? I was
No.
You left Bill
gonna pick a
Matt
Scott,
out.
but that was
Bill Matt is like the standout player in
Bill
the
Matt's
Pro 14
unbelievable.
last year.
But I'm not going on
Unbelievable.
Pro 14. I'm going on
We're going
what I've
World
seen
Cup.
over the weekend.
No. What was it? The question I thought was
made up
tier
from
2
tier
teams.
2 nations. Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't say the World Cup. I decided
Yeah,
to pick from the
see,
games.
you've
that they
rewritten.
played.
okay,
He's done the old exam
you've
question. I don't know
narrowed it up.
I don't know the answer to the question you've given me, so I'm going to write myself a different
Yeah.
answer to a different question.
No, so
Um,
I went from what I've seen in the World Cup so far.
Okay, you make up
Hence
your own
why-
questions.
Hence why
My team would beat the piss out of that team, man. Would beat
That's
the
very
piss
true.
out of them, man.
Well, let's put it on. How much recruitment will be being done right now? Do you think at the World Cup? Do a lot of these players
I
think
think-
if it go well?
I think definitely some tier 2 who aren't, because obviously a lot of them came back to Namibia because I picked 3 of them. They play in development 15, don't they? That do play in the Curry Cup or whatever.
Yeah,
So yeah, they'll definitely get picked up because they'll be a bargain, won't they?
yeah.
If you can string together 4 good games in your group games, then I think you're definitely looking at it.
Hopefully, where dreams
sure.
are made.
You could get some.
But-
It doesn't suit the Irish system
Yeah,
because the Irish system we've got to approve players if they're coming in
Yeah.
that aren't Irish
It
qualified.
suits
but
France and England.
if you're French and you're sitting there, you're going, oh, like that guy Torsten van Jaarsveld, that hooker, he's quality,
Yeah.
man. He played for the Cheetahs against us for a couple of years. Thought he was really, really good. But you can pick up some of the South African players, like they're relatively so inexpensive
yeah.
in comparison, and some of them are just so good. So
It's the same
good.
with all the Pacific Islanders. I mean, they've got a lot over there in France anyway. But if you have a storming World Cup, you'll get picked up and
Yeah.
taken over.
Like Nandolo, who then is told he
Yeah.
can't go to the World Cup. That's for another day, I think. Chaps, thank you very much indeed. Really enjoyed that.
You must have got
heavy
your
on rugby.
full rugby
I
nose
got
on
a
today,
full
didn't you?
fix this week.
You
yeah,
can't leave
I
at
feel that
least
my
10 minutes on the table because
my-
you've got a full excitement
carried
in the
out in
pants,
my
don't you?
sedan chair.
Lie down and smoke a cigarette now.
Yeah, exactly. something like that.
He's done.
I feel fully satisfied,
so
and I
good.
have to say this show doesn't often do that. But hopefully, for the other noses out there, you've got what you came for. If that's fair enough. That is it for this week. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you for enjoying House of Rugby. Don't forget, you can take us on here at House of Rugby via the Guinness Pint Predictor. We mentioned it a little bit earlier on. Download the
this.
Match Pint app. Come and play in our league with the code HOUSE. It couldn't be easier. What, you haven't got involved yet, have you?
I know. I didn't.
I've raced out of the traps. I'm doing all right in the house.
Memo.
There's a Guinness Legends League, which I certainly don't belong in, but I'm struggling a bit. And that Flats is having an absolute barnstormer.
Is he?
Jim Hamilton is miles behind everybody else. You need to get involved in that, actually.
I actually
Rugby now
deleted
is
it. I
getting
think I
well.
deleted the app. So I
Right,
need to
don't
get
delete
rid
the
of
app. Reinstall the app. Come and play with us in the House of Rugby League. Use the code HOUSE. You can also download and watch our boxing show, TK with Carl Frampton, and Liquid Football with Kelly Cates, wherever you get your podcasts. And of course, both of those available on YouTube. Thank you to Sins. Thank you to Jerry. Safe journey back. See you again soon. Oh, by the way, one other thing, very quickly. All the details about our Japan trip are going to be on the Facebook page very soon. So if you're not on that, do get involved. We're going to have a lot of fun out there. See you soon. Have a good week. Thank you for watching and listening.
You've been watching the House of Rugby on Joe, together with Guinness. Drink responsibly. Visit drinkaware.co.uk for the facts.